Max Verstappen's race win at Suzuka was a shock to everyone, including himself. As perfect a lap as you will ever see earned him that surprise pole position, which he then converted into a race win, just to remind everyone that he should never be written out of the Drivers' Championship. It is clear though that Red Bull have work to do. They can't rely on Verstappen being perfect and McLaren not doing anything to stop him. That's just not going to happen at every Grand Prix this season. They need to find some improvements in the car, and Christian Horner has turned to the FIA for help with that. Today, I'll check out what Red Bull are expecting from this weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix, and what they need going forward to continue competing with McLaren. So don't go anywhere. The vastly improved layout of the 2025 F1 calendar means that we're treated to a very early triple header, with the filling of the F1 sandwich being this weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix. As teams make the trip across Asia from Japan to the Arabian Peninsula, Verstappen and Red Bull have a lot to celebrate. For Verstappen, a first win of the season would have been a huge relief, as it stopped the two McLaren drivers opening up too much of a gap at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen's pole position was a 104th for Red Bull since the team was founded 20 years ago. That means that they now have as many pole positions as the driver with the most in F1 history, which of course is Lewis Hamilton. When Max converted his pole position to a race win, he became the first driver in F1 history to do that 4 times in a row, one more than Michael Schumacher managed. The fact that he's taken that record probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Verstappen's ability to convert pole positions into a race win is honestly pretty shocking, and it shows just how strong of a racer he actually is. After Suzuka, he's converted 80.49% of his 41 pole positions into race wins. Hamilton's conversion rate off that 104 pole positions is just 58.65%, and his new Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc has a conversion rate of 19.23%, while Verstappen converts 38.46% of Leclerc's pole positions into race wins. I'm not sure if that says more about Leclerc's lack of racecraft or Ferrari's abysmal pit wall. But anyway, I just thought those were some interesting stats for you to start the video with. While Verstappen fans should rightly celebrate that first win of the season for the team, Max has been quick to temper any expectations for the upcoming Bahrain Grand Prix. There are some things that will be in his favour this weekend. There were fewer overtakes in Bahrain in 2024 compared to Japan, with just 36 at the Bahrain International Circuit compared to the 48 at Suzuka. What that does mean is that if the race is in the middle of the night for you, maybe don't plan your entire weekend around waking up at 2 AM to watch the race. With so few overtakes happening at Bahrain in recent years, if Verstappen can stick it on pole again, then in theory, he should be even safer from being overtaken than he was last weekend. Max has also won comfortably from pole position there at the last 2 races. Speaking ahead of the race, he said, "Bahrain is typically somewhere where we've gone well. The track is very technical, and of course it is under night race conditions, which is a bit different." However, there is a lot to worry about for Max and Red Bull as well. Part of the reason Verstappen was able to keep Norris at arm's length in Japan was the track temperature. The McLaren cars take care of their tyres much better than the Red Bulls do. In Australia, we saw this when in the opening stint, Verstappen kept pace with them very early on before burning through his tyres completely and having to drop back. In Japan though, the cold temperatures meant his tyres lasted much better than McLaren were expecting. Norris was holding back for a long time, trying to save his tyres as much as possible in the hope that Verstappen would eventually lose some tyre performance and slow down, but that never actually happened. Despite the Bahrain Grand Prix being a night race, it is still in the middle of the desert, and the temperature could be up to 20 degrees centigrade hotter than it was in Japan. That will make a massive difference to how the tyres handle a full race stint. In Suzuka, Pirelli bought their hardest wearing tyres for the race, a decision that was heavily criticised. They will have the same tyres for this weekend's race, with that decision having been made in late February. But the hot weather should mean the drivers can't do 40 laps on the hard tyre without seeing a serious drop in pace. Verstappen voiced his concerns by saying, "It's going to be hot, and I think it'll be a tough race for us. There are still things to improve on the car. We're still working on our tyre management and lacking some pace, so we'll just need to work hard and constantly push the car to the limit. If, and it is a very big if, But if Red Bull can find that perfect setup window again, just like they did in Japan, and Verstappen can get pole position, then in theory it's going to be a lot harder for him to convert that pole position into a race win, with the McLarens just being that much gentler on their tyres. It hasn't been hard to see this season that Red Bull have some issues with their car. The instability of last year, which they targeted as an area to improve during the winter, is still a problem, with the car being, well, an uncompetitive monster to put it nicely for anyone other than Verstappen. The now dropped Liam Lawson struggled to get comfortable with it, as he complained about how narrow its sweet spot is. "It's a small window," he said. "It's hard to drive, it's hard to get in that window." There is also the tyre wear problem that I've spoken about, which is a clear weakness when you compare that car to the McLaren. However, help is coming from the FIA, and by the sounds of things, Horner couldn't be happier. But before I talk about that, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch all the news and analysis from the Bahrain Grand Prix, then make sure to press that like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thank you very much. So pre-season expectations for this season was that the championships could be decided relatively early on. With new regulations coming next season, any teams who weren't in direct competition for a title were expected to turn their attention to 2026's car relatively early. However, Christian Horner has explained why this June's Spanish Grand Prix could be a pivotal moment in the title fight and why everyone might stick around until then. The FIA is set to introduce tougher front-wing regulations at round 9 of the season, and Horner believes that the shake-up this causes may redefine the championship narrative and potentially shift the balance of power on the grid, presumably into his team's favour. Speaking after Verstappen's victory at Suzuka, Horner predicted that the Spanish Grand Prix may mark a turning point, particularly with how teams adapt to the FIA's clampdown on flexible wings. Well look, in the first 3 races, we finished 0.8 of a second behind Lando. We were 4th in China and won this race, Horner told Channel 4. So we're 1 point behind in the Drivers' Championship. Don't underestimate the regulation change of race 9, with those front wings. That could be a game changer. The first 4 are super tight, and as you well know, there's no better tonic than a win. The FIA's decision to enforce stricter tests on front wing flexibility comes amid growing scrutiny of designs that may be skirting the limits of legality. The crackdown could, by Red Bull's estimation, impact the performance of their main rival McLaren, who've proved to be the masters of flexible bodywork over the past year or so. Whether it actually will or not, well, only McLaren really know that. There were some fan theories floating around after Suzuka that seemed to imply that the McLaren rear wing was bending back at high speed, but the evidence is pretty inconclusive, and Norris's car was randomly chosen for what the FIA call extensive physical inspections, and all the parts were found to comply with the current regulations, so there doesn't seem to be anything in that. Red Bull can't just sit and wait for June though, and hope that this rule change impacts McLaren. They need to be working on upgrades now. According to senior figures of the team, the car is only 25% fixed, but that does mean that they've got plenty of space to develop, and presumably a lot of performance to come. Red Bull are a long way from throwing in the towel on Verstappen's title challenge, but that doesn't change the fact that Bahrain could be a very difficult weekend for them. Do you think the desert heat is going to impact Red Bull in Bahrain? And do you expect the competitive order to get shuffled by the incoming rule change? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.